Sometimes Family Guy can outdo themselves, and that's why today we're taking a look at some examples where the side plot in a Family Guy episode was just as good, if not more enjoyable, than the main plot. Starting with the episode Barely Legal, which most people remember from Meg becoming obsessed with Brian, but they often forget it also contains a goldmine of Peter and the guys becoming temporary cops.
Joan Wilder's sister's being held hostage in Cartagena, and there's not a policeman in sight. I guess it's up to me.
So after confusing the movie Romancing the Stone for a real hostage event, Adam West dispatches all of Quahog's police force to Cartagena, Colombia, which, is pretty stupid. This is 2006. He should have been using them to get those guys off the Lost Island. So with no cops around, the usual suspects start to take advantage of the lawlessness.
Peter, what is that?
This would be a giraffe, Isaac Newton. I stole it from the zoo.
If we're being real, there's a good chance Isaac Newton had no idea what a giraffe was either. He just wasn't the same after that apple hit his head. Good for gravity, bad for his cognitive thinking. But not every cop got shipped out. Joe's still here, and he's been handling all the crimes in town himself.
The only reason I didn't have to go myself is that South America isn't wheelchair accessible.
I didn't know the ancient Colombian civilizations were so ableist. Bad look, Tyronians. Bad look. But this gives the guys a great idea. They could become temporary cops to help take some of the stress off of Joe. After all, giving Peter a loaded gun puts the stress on everybody else. But they aren't just automatically enlisted, they must first complete the rigorous police academy training.
Welcome to the police academy. We're gonna start by learning how to do a cavity search.
Yep, might as well learn the thing that cops do every day first. You never know when you're gonna be out in the field and have to start digging around in there.
Drop your pants.
Peter, you don't have to pull your pants down.
God forbid he tries to make the suspect feel more comfortable. Then again, if a cop is standing behind me with his pants down, we're about to have a pants around the ankles chase along the side of the highway. And after enough training, the guys become certified officers, ready to bring justice and order to this lawless town.
Oh my God, Lois, I hit you.
I know! Now stick your finger in there and twist it.
Everyone in the room should be arrested for the crime of making us have to see that. But eventually, this plot and the main plot do converge as Lois enlists the officers to track down Meg after she kidnaps Brian.
Don't move, dirtbag!
Holy crap, what the hell is this?
Brian, she's a teenager!
Yeah, this is totally Brian exposing Meg to his tied up and forced to do things against his will kink. So while Meg and Brian have a much more fleshed out plot, you still shouldn't forget about the shenanigans the guys went through when they temporarily got their badges. And while the main plot of The Hand That Rocks the Wheelchair revolves around another unhealthy obsession of Meg's, this time being Joe's wife, the arguably more memorable part of this episode comes from the side plot, involving Stewie accidentally unleashing a super evil version of himself out onto the world.
I think you're going soft. I mean, when was the last time you tried to blow something up or take over the world or even use the phrase damn you?
So after Brian points out to Stewie that he might be losing his edge, Stewie decides to do something about it. Unfortunately, anger management doesn't help you get more angry, so Stewie opts to build himself a new device.
So I've built a concentrated neural enhancement device designed to boost my evil side.
But if you wanted to get more evil, you could have just scrolled Twitter for a few hours. A lot cheaper and a lot more effective. But after a spin in the device, Stewie doesn't come out any more evil.
Sometimes you chase helicopters.
That's kind of lame.
Yeah,
Geez, you stopped trying to kill your mom for a few years and suddenly you can't even formulate a proper insult. You hate to see people fall out of a hobby they fell in love with. But while the device didn't make Stewie any meaner, it did manage to concentrate his latent maliciousness into a diabolical, palette-swapped clone.
What happened to your clothes? Hey, what are you doing?
Ah!
Sorry, he's just a baby. He doesn't know that's not where you're supposed to put a dog's batteries. Or that dogs don't run on batteries. This is at first seen as a monumental breakthrough, and Stewie's excited to study his clone and learn more.
We're going to run a few tests on...
What do you mean the evil clone is going to be evil? I knew Stewie should have read the part about reaping what you sow. So after the clone completely decimates both Brian and Stewie, he runs out into the world and begins to wreak havoc on anyone in his way.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Oh yeah!
Horrifying, but somebody had to stop that maniac from breaking through even more walls. You know that guy is not paying for damages. So to put an end to the clone's rampage, Brian and Stewie set a trap in the park for him.
Do me a favor and end it all for me, will you?
Delighted to oblige, Brian.
But after a little rolling around in the dirt, fighting over the weapon, both Stewies end up with their clothes off. It sucks to see your dream come true also become your worst nightmare, but that's just something Stewie will have to deal with. With Brian forced to choose who to shoot, he uses a tactic that's guaranteed to give him the right answer.
Look at your feet.
Why? They're just feet. What are they doing down there?
Never bet against the whimsicality of a child who wasn't created in some kind of heinous experiment. While the Joe and Meg story is hilariously uncomfortable, this side plot is filled with much more action and full-throttle gory violence. And as a self-identified sicko, I approve. But while the episode Brian Goes Back to College is filled with some solid character moments for Brian, it's hard to deny that the B-plot involving Peter and the gang becoming the A-Team is a lot more fun.
Face?
Here and handsome.
Murdoch?
Here. And crazy!
B.A.?
I pity the fool.
So the guys decide to attend an 80s television convention dressed as their favorite 80s icons, the A-Team. Think of the Avengers, just not as colorful and way more excited about shooting a million bullets. And it turns out their costumes are good enough to take them right to the gold.
The winners of this year's costume contest, the A-Team with the real black guy.
It really is the small, subtle details that make all the difference. Riding high off this win, Peter isn't too willing to give up on being an 80s icon just yet, and after the group performs a true feat of heroism, they realize maybe they shouldn't.
Wow, thanks.
Today they're fighting wobbly bar chairs, and the next day they'll be fighting gorillas in a foreign jungle. That's just the A-Team pipeline. Realizing they could do a lot more for their community, the group decides to go all in on their A-Team roleplay and become soldiers of fortune full-time.
Don't you worry, sad little girl. The A-Team will get your beloved kitty down. Ready, boys?
Their methods might be unorthodox, but they certainly get results. Maybe not the results you wanted, but all that hard work has got to earn them a successful freeze frame.
Get off my property!
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let's go.
But when they catch wind that one of Quahog's most beloved parks is about to be torn down to build a strip mall, the team finally finds something that actually calls for a little excessive force. But when you remember that the A-Team rarely ever actually kills anybody, you suddenly wonder how these guys got anything done in their show.
Well, we'll probably just, shoot the ground all around you to make you scared, and then you'll jump in your truck and speed off.
Yeah, but all that 80s action nonsense might actually end up getting someone killed. And after some casual conversations about car accidents, seatbelts, and chop shops, the guys kinda just back off and don't actually do anything.
We're a terrible A-Team.
You know what the problem is? We didn't stay focused.
That's exactly it. We didn't stay focused.
Well, it's the thought and thousands of dollars spent on ammunition that count. So while the guys didn't end up having their big hero moment, it's still a lot of fun to see them roleplay and ultimately give up on their dream after some of Family Guy's trademark realistic dialogue.
Well, look, you guys got a lot of work to do. We should probably get out of your hair. Take it easy.
Yeah,
now.
all right.
And while the central plot of Foxy Lady revolves around Lois becoming a reporter for Fox News, the arguably much funnier and memorable part of this episode comes from the side plot of Peter creating his own cartoon.
And I know another way we can take advantage of this. Chris, Meg, meet me in the living room in 10 minutes.
So when Lois starts working for Fox News, Peter sees this as an opportunity to pitch his very own animated series to the network. So he gathers Chris and Meg to start brainstorming the next big animated hit.
Ooh, how about a show about a bunch of disabled ducks and we'll call it Handy Quacks?
Ladies and gentlemen, I think they just found their Simpsons killer. Sounds pretty promising. Everyone loves talking animals, and with them being handicapped, it'll teach the world that those with disabilities aren't all that different. That would be promising if I didn't assume the entire show was just gonna be handicap jokes.
All right, names. Come on now.
Poopy Face Tomato Nose!
Yes, write it down. Hurry.
Okay, so it's a show with the same sense of humor as a lunch table full of second graders, which means it'll probably get 6 seasons, a movie, and a reboot that grown men on the internet say is stabbing their childhood in the face. But with a concept and a few names down, the trio get right to writing the first episode.
What if Red Hiney Monkey and Poopy Face Tomato Nose are trying to build a house of cards and it keeps falling down?
Look at Chris go with all these ideas. He's a regular Dave Filoni. Now we just gotta get Chris a cowboy hat he'll never be seen without. But of course, a party pooper like Meg has to come along and poop all over the party with her concerns about this whole project being a big ball of nonsense.
I'm so sorry, but none of this stuff seems to make sense.
They said the same thing about some of our greatest artists. Imagine if the Beatles were told their songs about walruses and blue meanies made no sense. John Lennon probably wouldn't have been shot, and no, wait, we don't want that to happen. But it's clear Meg just isn't seeing the vision, so time to cut her loose.
If you want to fire her, you go ahead and fire her, but don't pretend you're doing it for her benefit.
Don't put that on me. She's
It's
firing
on you.
herself.
That's just showbiz. If you're not clinically insane, you just aren't gonna make it. So with all the dead weight cut from the process, Peter brings in his friends to voice these soon-to-be iconic characters.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Colonel Tushfinger.
I just built a spaceship.
Oof, rough accent. Cleveland, you should know better than most that sometimes you just shouldn't be voicing someone from a different background. But Peter finally gets the pilot completed and pitches it to Fox, and there's no way this thing doesn't pull in $2, maybe even $3 whole dollars.
I just walked into the wood stove store and said, "Put it on my bill."
Nuclear levels of comedy radiating from this show. Fox is willing to pick it up, but only if they can change Poopy Face's nose to a tomato. Peter, as most self-respecting artists would, is insulted by this suggestion and rejects it. Admiring his tenacity, the Fox executive changes their tone.
Okay, we'll do the show, and we'll do it your way.
No.
Well, better to have... Nah, actually, he really fumbled this one. The Handy Quacks development plotline is easily the funniest part of this episode. From the final product to the constant whisper conversations Chris and Peter have about Meg, this side plot clearly outshines the main one. And the main plotline in Girl Interneted involving Meg getting internet famous for eating an unhealthy amount is hard to beat, but we find the subplot involving Brian getting a Hummer to be just as funny. So after Brian's Prius gets absolutely annihilated, the dog decides to take it to a mechanic to assess the damage.
Is the lady who owns the Prius here?
Actually, that's me.
Oh, well, your wife's car is totaled.
Hey, a man shouldn't be emasculated over the type of car he drives. He should be emasculated for using his hybrid car to appear holier than thou, and Brian definitely fits that bill. But now Brian's gonna need a loaner car, and he'll be damned if he doesn't get one that reminds people of how much of a man he is.
Give me your manliest car.
Bill, I need a Hummer.
Again? You're insatiable.
I'm sorry, you were just calling Brian effeminate a minute ago. You don't get to have it both ways, good sir. That's Brian's thing. Sorry, I didn't want to be left out of the jokes. So Brian gets himself a big, bulky, practically a tank Hummer, but he's worried about how the car will make him look.
I just hope I don't get branded a Hummer guy. I can feel the earth warming. No one needs a car this big.
You say that now, but when that terrible scenario you created in your head that justifies this car comes true, you might just feel differently. But there are a lot of perks to it. Other than being 100 feet off the ground at all times, you also get to have Sam Elliott narrate over your driving.
And if the mountains won't move, drive right over them. Hummer.
It's better than whatever's playing on the radio nowadays. Hearing that stuff makes me feel like I'm aging rapidly and will die tomorrow. And the car has some actual utility to it, like making for the perfect vehicle to get Meg to the hospital.
Anybody need a ride to the hospital?
What?
Does anybody need a ride to the hospital?
I'm assuming he was already on his way there to fix the hearing loss he's gotten from the truck. There are some positives, but like the symbiote slowly changes its host, so too does the Hummer to Brian.
I'm not a Hummer guy, Stewie. I'm a responsible Prius driver who's making the best of a bad situation.
And I'm sure you already own that pair of Oakley sunglasses. Face it, you're a Hummer guy, Bri. You don't even have to explain which kind of Hummer guy you are. Both are equally embarrassing. But the good times must come to an end as Brian's Prius ends up being all fixed up.
I'll miss driving a military vehicle 45 miles an hour through a school zone to get Crest white strips.
That's really all anybody wants out of life, isn't it? While the stuff with Meg in this episode is good, one shouldn't forget that Brian walking back his morals for a big car is still a lot of fun. And while the episode Shortcuts has some interesting Brian lore, the arguably funnier plot comes from Peter and Lois's passive-aggressive war over her new haircut.
Isn't a haircut cute? Maybe I'll get my haircut short too.
What? No way. I forbid it.
So Peter and Lois seem to be having a disagreement over whether or not Lois can get a shorter haircut. Peter must still be dealing with the PTSD of when Lois got her current haircut. You'll forever be in our hearts, long-haired Lois. Gone but never forgotten. But Lois realizes that she doesn't have to let a man tell her what she can and can't do.
Excuse me, sir, but this is a private residence.
Peter, it's me. I got my hair cut.
I understand Peter's shock, honestly. I had no clue if Lois even had ears or not, so seeing them now just feels weird. Like seeing something man wasn't meant to see. Lois seems to like it, but Peter has his hang-ups.
With my boobs in your hair, everybody's gonna think we're a lesbian couple.
When Peter brings up his issues with the haircut to the guys, they suggest that maybe Peter needs to return the favor.
Well, since Lois did something to her appearance that you don't like, you should do something to your appearance that she doesn't like.
See, the difference here is that Lois had the room to drop down in attractiveness. Peter, you're already on the ground floor, buddy. I wouldn't try to dig any deeper. But Peter has a few different directions he can go with this.
Oh my God, Peter, what the hell are you wearing?
Jeans. Just jeans. You like it?
Well, all he needs is a shower, Adderall, and a glass of whiskey, and he'll be a whole vibe. But Peter's capable of taking this look to far worse places.
I'm gonna add this free Fandango golf visor I got when I snuck in to see I Feel Pretty.
It's one of those looks that just screams, "Hello world, I'm currently in the midst of a lengthy custody battle and have given up all hope of winning." But if Peter wants to go low, Lois can go to her lowest. There's plenty she can do to embarrass Peter if that's the road he wants to take.
I took a jewelry making class last month with a group of preschool moms, and now I'm gonna do it as a career.
Well, it's a little more honest than getting roped into one of those essential oil pyramid schemes, but it's still no less heinous. But that's fine. Peter knows there's something even worse than homemade jewelry. Something so vile that he might not be able to come back from, but it's a risk he has to be willing to take.
Greetings, Lois.
Oh my god, Peter, you're gonna make me vomit.
That amount of rubber should never be on a man outside of the privacy of his own bedroom. And the way the bike has his legs spread out like that, it's like seeing a balloon having a gynecology appointment. It's clear neither is going to concede though, so things are just going to keep getting uglier and uglier.
I'm gonna become a DJ.
I'm going to hire a life coach.
But it turns out all they needed to get their frustrations out was to get a little frisky in the kitchen. That's fine. Everything probably needed to be sanitized and bleached anyway. Even still, I'd probably be taking my meals in the living room for the foreseeable future.
What do you think of my haircut now?
It's ugly, I hate it.
We love to see some aggressive pettiness from Lois and Peter, so that's why to us, this side plot in the episode proved to be much more entertaining and memorable. And while the antics of Stewie crashing Brian's car and Stewie goes for a drive are pretty fun, it's hard to argue that the most memorable storyline from this episode actually revolves around the budding relationship between Peter and Ryan Reynolds, which quickly gets a little uncomfortable.
Are you Ryan Reynolds?
From the proposal and the change-up and a ton of upcoming stuff? Yeah, that's me.
So Ryan Reynolds ends up shooting a movie in Quahog and posts up in Cleveland's old house. He seems to be really interested in becoming friends with Peter, so much so that he invites him over for a party.
Is this shirt too tight? I'm feeling really self-conscious.
No, not at all.
So it looks good like this.
Yeah, looks good.
Thanks.
It's heartening to know celebrities are just like us, scared to talk to their crush, dancing around small talk, and having absolutely ripped abs. I feel so seen. But Reynolds manages to work his way into a date with Peter Thursday night, which may or may not involve some tickling.
Right now would be the worst time for you to tickle my lower abdomen, because it's so exposed because I'm cheering.
This guy isn't even beating around the bush, he's absolutely demolishing it with a weed whacker. So the two go out for a nice Moroccan dinner, which quickly turns from just two dudes hanging out to Peter discovering what Ryan Reynolds' fingers taste like.
Just a taste.
There are a million women out there who are peeved they aren't living Peter's life right now. And probably a million men thinking they're lucky stars they are living Peter's life right now. Peter tries to explain this predicament to Lois, but she doesn't believe him.
Why would any man dress well, groom himself, and lift weights just to sleep with other men? He's not gay.
Yeah, might want to double check your math there, Lois. You're kinda sounding like one of those million women. Unfortunately, dating one of Hollywood's hottest actors isn't something Peter is too invested in, so he goes over to Ryan's to let him down gently. It's too bad Ryan is also in denial about all this.
I'm attracted to you in the way that a man is attracted to a woman. But I'm not gay.
That's that Hollywood mindset. There must be something with the smog out there that just alters these guys' brain chemistry. And now that Ryan's backing out, Peter no longer wants the relationship to end. He should have just held on and let himself be gaslit long enough until he could at least get a role in one movie.
I can change. I can change.
I'm sorry, Peter. We're done. We can never talk again.
Luckily, Seth MacFarlane and Ryan Reynolds' relationship in real life hasn't stopped them from collaborating. They're actually totally fine with sticking their hands in each other's mouths. The combination of the absurd storyline and Reynolds actually voicing himself makes this episode super memorable, more so than its titular plotline. And the controversy surrounding the plotline of Chris dating a girl with Down syndrome and extra-large medium is often the only thing people remember about the episode, but a lot of the comedy actually comes from the side plot revolving around Peter thinking he's a psychic medium.
Don't worry, Lois. The spirit world wants very much to assist you.
So after Chris and Stewie go missing in the woods, Lois turns to a psychic who predicts that her sons will be found safe and alive. I mean, she has a 50-50 chance of being right. Lois probably should have led with a stronger question to test the waters. But just as the psychic predicted, Chris and Stewie are saved from the wilderness.
Oh, I knew they'd find you. I knew you were okay. It's just like the psychic said.
And it's this little miracle that makes Lois go all in on psychics, believing them to be completely true. Look, if you want to spend a bunch of money on nothing, you could just buy a bunch of gold toilet paper. It won't improve your life, but you spent all that money, so you think it actually will.
I just went to see my psychic Estelle, and she told me that Stewie is gonna grow up to be very successful.
Lois is making the wrong move by telling all this stuff to Brian. If you've seen how hard he is on people who believe in religion, what makes you think he's gonna be kinder about this?
That's weird. Why would you pay her to hear things you want to hear?
I'm not crazy about your tone, Brian.
Can't you just believe in horoscopes and cosmic signs like a slightly less crazy person, Lois? So to shake Lois of her belief in the psychic, Brian sets up a scenario in the park with Peter pretending to be a psychic to show how easy the charade is.
I'm also sensing that you have a dead relative.
My husband died of cancer last year.
Oh my god, awesome.
It's so easy that even an idiot like Peter could do it, which means that Peter is now gonna do it. Should have never let him access his untapped potential. Luckily for him, people just want to hear about their futures, and you can just make up anything you want with that.
You will die in a plane crash and be reincarnated as a prophylactic.
And Peter decides to take his talents to a bigger stage, performing a psychic demonstration for a few hundred people. Look, if people are so willing to get rid of their money, just take it. If they're going to psychics, they might just have too much disposable income.
I'm sensing a black guy over here. Is there a black guy?
Me! I'm a black guy!
Half of being a successful psychic is just being able to use your eyes. But Peter's abilities will really be put to the test when Joe busts in with a problem only a psychic like Peter can solve.
We just got word of a kidnapped victim buried alive with a bomb strapped to his chest. We need your psychic powers to lead us to him.
What a weird, oddly specific crime. They've got some real maniacs running around Quahog, and if you're gonna catch them, you're gonna need help from a maniac yourself.
When I'm tracking someone, it often helps to touch something that belongs to the victim. Does he have a wife?
Yeah.
Next, he'll be saying he gets a stronger reading if he spends 5 minutes in the bedroom with something belonging to the victim. He only needs like 2 minutes, but it's good to have the extra wiggle room. Unfortunately, all they had were a few seconds.
Yeah, I'm not psychic.
Maybe not, but at least the journey to that conclusion was pretty fun, even if it meant a guy exploding. Next time, leave it to the professionals, guys who have a TV show. And while the espionage adventures Brian and Stewie find themselves roped into and spies reminiscent of us are quite fun, perhaps the funniest bits from the episode come from the guys trying to start up an improv group.
You're painfully unfunny.
Get the out of my house!
So after getting called unfunny by two comedy icons, Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, Peter tries to test his set out on his friends, who are a lot more receptive to his brand of comedy.
I'm John Wayne at the first Thanksgiving, pilgrims. Happy Thanksgiving, pilgrims.
Nice, clean, not too political. Peter's tapping into a style of comedy most comics are too cowardly to try. And this kind of comedy needs to be seen by other people. Unfortunately, TikTok hasn't been invented yet, so the guys decide to go a route that can be just as embarrassing.
Improv?
Improv.
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 The word has lost all meaning now that you said it so many times, but I could be down with some improv. Whose Line Is It Anyway was one of the funniest shows out there. These guys just need a bald fella who they can keep pointing out the fact that he's bald to. But improv is serious business, at least it is to Quagmire.
I am the only experienced member of this group.
I can already tell this is not going to be fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things that should have just been left as a drunken discussion, like starting a business or moving in together. But Quagmire is going to drag them kicking and screaming through improv, whether they like it or not, starting with some comedic warm-ups.
It's improv, Peter. You don't think. You just keep talking. You don't think. What comes to mind? Talk.
Is this supposed to get the guys fired up for improv, or is it to give them a migraine that causes their head to explode? The intention sounds like the former, but the outcome might be the latter. Improv is a fast and loose game, and if you want to be any good at it, you gotta be fast and loose. Two words that have never been used to describe Peter.
Am I doing it?
What's the matter with you guys?
Pretty fair question. Not really seeing how any of this stuff leads him into doing his John Wayne impression. That's the moneymaker right there. Maybe this is one of those things that'll just come to them on the day, so the guys decide to go ahead and put on a show.
I need a place.
Your ass.
Okay, come on now. Something serious.
Your mom's ass.
Look, you asked the question and he answered. It's on you for thinking anyone was going to take improv seriously in the big 09. Might as well just reel him in with the stuff that you know will knock him dead.
Here's John Wayne Bobbitt at the first Thanksgiving. Where's my pilgrims?
Sometimes you just have to give the people what they want, no matter how stupid and nonsensical it is. Comedy is dying, and the only way to survive is to help dig the hole. But I'll never get mad at an episode that makes Quagmire angry about something he takes way too seriously.
Okay, this is not something that should ever have been attempted. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Improv.
And if you thought the heavy-handed criticisms of religion were a bit too much and not all dogs go to heaven, you can find a much funnier plot in the side story revolving around Stewie hanging out with the cast of Star Trek.
I'll get my question answered one way or another.
So after Stewie fails to get his questions answered at a Star Trek The Next Generation panel, he decides to build a device that will teleport the entire cast into his bedroom. Is this better than the fans that stalk the cast and peer through their windows? I'm not so sure.
You're going to answer all my questions.
But you're a baby.
Yes, that's right, Denise Crosby.
Okay, might actually be worse. But I think this practically counts as a hostage situation now, so might as well give the baby what he wants.
It was an awful lot of fun. You know, when Patrick wasn't hogging the limelight.
Oh, you, Michael.
But what Stewie doesn't realize is that he might be becoming the hostage later on. All these Hollywood types are pampered to their every whim, so of course they're going to start acting like children. Somehow, the actual child has to be the mature one here.
Can you read my mind? Can you tell what I'm thinking right now? I'm thinking shut up and get a salad.
I want some McNuggets.
We'll get to you, Brent.
This is on you for going through a drive-thru with so many people. It should be max 4 people going through the drive-thru. I don't know how they could enforce that. Maybe deploying border patrol on the drive-thru line?
Just hang on, all right? There's a lot of us. It's a big order.
Next, Stewie tries taking them to a bowling alley, but that quickly has keeping them locked away in a van far away from the world, looking like the much better avenue to take.
Why exactly can I not wear my loafers? What is the danger there?
Because, Patrick, those are the rules.
If you don't wear the correct bowling shoes, you could slip and slide down the lane and into where all the bowling pins go to die. That place is hell on earth, and you'd be best to avoid it. At this point, though, I think Stewie wouldn't mind shoving these guys down there.
I have to pee.
Brent, take Michael to the bathroom, please.
Okay. And after a full day of what can only be described as having a screwdriver jammed into your ear, Stewie decides to send the actors back to whence they came. He should just drop them on the side of the road. Make them some other sucker's problem.
This was exhausting. This whole experience was absolutely exhausting.
Yeah, but it made for a pretty funny episode, something you didn't always get with the main plot about finding God. And we know a lot of people want to forget about Stewie as Ensemble, the episode where Stewie gives birth to a bunch of human dog monstrosities, but it's worth checking out purely for the side plot involving the guys trying to make a viral video.
And now the viral video of the week with over 7 million views. For those of you who loved screaming sheep, we've got Opera Penguin.
So after seeing how much attention viral videos get, Peter and the gang decide that they need to come up with their own viral video. Because if there's anyone who has a pulse on what's trending, it's 4 slightly inebriated 40-somethings.
I don't know if you're gonna be in it, Joe. I thought while we filmed, we'd just keep all of our stuff on your lap.
So the guys start to discuss the needed ingredients for a viral video. Unfortunately, they don't have the millions of dollars and dead look in the eyes of Mr. Beast, nor do they have the energy and ability to jump over a car like IShowSpeed. So what do they got?
This is 30 impressions in 30 seconds. Show me the money. Oh, behave.
Brock Baker could do Joe Swanson, but Joe Swanson could never do Brock Baker. Impressions are a good way to start, but it's not going to excite the billions of the world. They need something topical, relatable, and something that appeals to the common human condition.
People really love that viral video of a monkey forcing that on a frog at the zoo. So maybe we can find another frog for something like that.
Oh yeah, the grandmas on Facebook are going to absolutely eat that up. For guys who are trying to make it big on the internet, they probably should have first started by spending more time on the internet. But they do find something to film, and after a while, they decide to check in on how the comments are looking.
Boy, they just went right after Cleveland, didn't they?
Geez, that word looks even harsher when it's in all caps.
That's the internet for you. It runs on slurs just as much as it runs on electricity. So not a single one of their videos ended up going viral, even the one that Peter put a lot of work into, where he took a picture of himself every day for a year and then got haunted by the ghost boy from The Grudge. The internet really doesn't reward true artistry anymore, huh?
Yeah, so we're thinking about selling the house.
The true secret to a great viral video is that you can't make it with the intention of it being a viral video. The universe will recognize you're being a tryhard and squash that ambition right then and there. This is further proven when Chris becomes the star of a viral video, something I don't think he intended to do while out that day.
That's right, don't let your chocolate levels get too low.
People really do just make the dumbest stuff go viral, huh? So while they never achieved the big one, it was still pretty fun to see the guys try their hand at virality, even if it meant being haunted by a vengeful spirit for the rest of their lives. And while the episode Quagmire's Baby has a lot of good character moments for Quagmire, we think a lot more of the comedy in that episode comes from the subplot involving Stewie creating defective clones of himself and Brian.
Cancel my Tuesday appointments. Sure thing, Stewie. You want me to move it to another day? No, just cancel it.
So in order to help him with menial tasks, Stewie decides to create a slightly nerfed clone of himself. And by slightly nerfed, I mean he really took all of his skill points out of intelligence. This is a charisma maxing build, baby.
I call him Stewie. Would you like to meet him? Would you like to meet Stewie?
With a name like that, who wouldn't? Is that Italian or something? But this defective clone has actually been pretty useful to Stewie, taking care of things he doesn't want to do and overall just making the regular Stewie look better.
Why are there no midget accountants? Because they always come up short.
It always helps to have a friend who will laugh at your jokes, though I'm not sure if it's the best reflection on your comedy if the only guy laughing is a guy with a head full of sand. But this whole deal sounds pretty appealing, and Brian may just want to get in on this, but it's gonna come at a price.
Take your index finger and your thumb and lightly grip the base of your tail.
What?
You heard him. All in all, that's a pretty reasonable price for a clone. My clone guy wants to be paid handsomely, and in a cryptocurrency I can't even pronounce.
Oh my god, you're so weird! Alright, I'll make you a clone, buddy.
And Stewie does just that. Well, not regular Stewie. Stewie lets his clone take the reins on this one, and, well, it turns out pretty much like how you'd expect.
Hi, Brian. You got some stuff you want me to do for you?
Oh my god.
Hey, at least he's got a chipper, can-do attitude. It doesn't matter if one of his eyeballs doesn't work, it's the drive that really matters. And this clone's drive is probably more akin to drunk driving than normal driving.
Brian, I can't go to the bathroom by myself. Will you please help me? But I'm good at other stuff.
Unfortunately, the clones don't seem like they're going to be sticking around for too much longer, as their genetic makeup seems to be held together with tape, staples, and a hope and a prayer.
Brian, I think my jaw is falling off.
Stewie, what is happening to this thing?
The results were promised to be jaw-dropping, it was just never clarified whose jaw it would be. While indentured servitude from a nitwit may sound good on paper, no, wait, none of this sounded good on paper. Yeah, this thing was a disaster waiting to happen from the get-go. At least it made for a pretty hilarious B-plot.
Yeah, this was not a fruitful endeavor. I'm not proud of this, but I need to lick that up.
And while we found the central plot of the Bird Reich revolving around Peter adopting Hitler's pet parrot a bit dull, the episode is thankfully salvaged thanks to the side plot involving Brian nearly giving up on writing after being insulted by Stewie.
The last 2 months, I've really gotten my act together. I stopped drinking, and I'm about to self-publish a book.
So Brian's finally gotten around to writing another book after his last attempt destroyed all of his credibility. I don't think this is him putting his hand back on the hot stove, but I'm willing to watch what happens regardless. But Brian ends up setting up a publishing party for his book, and it actually turns out to have quite a decent crowd.
My mother was a huge and I lost my at 6 months old.
I'm pretty sure the Matthew McConaughey autobiography starts out the same way. So yeah, the book is pretty much the same type of stuff you'd expect to come from Brian, but at least it's personal, honest, and the perfect substitute for melatonin.
It means everything to have you here, so thanks again.
Unfortunately, I don't think it meant nearly as much to Stewie, because Brian discovers that the signed copy of his book he gave to Stewie has somehow wound up in the tiny library in the neighborhood, which is only one measly step higher than putting it in a trash can.
Did he even bring it home? Is our friendship worth nothing to him?
Well, hold on, he could have just loved the book so much that he's just trying to get the good word out there. And what better way to get more eyes on his book than by putting it in a small box that fogs up so you can't see what's inside when you pass by? Well, Brian doesn't seem to think that's the case, so he confronts Stewie about it.
Well, it's your copy, so you tell me.
Oh, that's ridiculous. My copy is right here on my bookshelf. What?
Sorry, but you can't hijack Chris's old bit to get out of this one. If you're gonna get rid of a book your friend gave you, you gotta do it in the same way you get rid of a dead body, in pieces and scattered across various states. What? I like crime podcasts. Can we remember the true monster here, an ungrateful baby?
I sat through your reading. I said congratulations. I took the book. Where do my obligations end?
Probably when you realize that this friendship wasn't exactly transactional. Friends are supposed to stick with each other, smiling through all their dumb stuff because you know it'll make them feel better. Within reason. If your friend starts talking about dispensing body parts and they don't listen to crime podcasts, it might be time to just cut things off.
Did you even read the inscription?
Yes.
Well, then what did it say?
From one hard body to another.
And it's this personal rejection that ends up being the nail in the coffin that is Brian's writing career. A coffin that already had a ton of nails in it to begin with, but this is the nail.
You got your wish, Stewie. I quit. You'll never have to worry about keeping one of my books again.
I was gonna say artists are so dramatic, but this is honestly how I feel every time a video doesn't get 100k views within the first 10 minutes. You may say my standards are too high, but how are they supposed to reach the stars if they're on the ground? Put that one in your pipe and smoke it. But Stewie and Chris try to get Brian out of his funk by buying up some of his books.
That'll get Brian in the top 20 of Amazon's canine nonfiction under 60 pages category.
A prestigious category with an untapped market. Most people today have the brain of a dog and can only read about 60 pages anyway. Brian might not like it, but this is the market he was meant for.
Who the hell used my Amazon account to order 3 copies of Brian's book?
Look, it doesn't matter how you got there, only that you get there. That's why I'm always the first to watch our videos on 15 YouTube burner accounts. Luckily, the two of them end up reconciling by the end of the episode, making for a much more character-rich plot than whatever was going on with Peter and that bird. And while we all love to see Brian absolutely fail his responsibilities as a father in the aptly titled Brian's a Bad Father, we gotta show some love to the side plot where Peter shoots Quagmire before learning just what payback can be.
See, Quagmire? Safety's on. Now this is a gun without a safety. Quite the difference, huh?
So after Peter shoots Quagmire for no real good reason at all, it creates a rift in the friend group as Peter doesn't really seem all that bothered by what he did.
What's with the cast? Did you hurt your arm after I shot you in the arm?
Keep talking like that and you're not gonna get to sign his cast, Peter. We know that's something a simpleton like you wants more than anything. But Quagmire's tired of walking on eggshells and putting up with Peter's BS, so he's gonna tell it to him straight.
No, Joe. It's time somebody said this to him. Peter Griffin, you are an idiot!
I refuse to believe this is the first time anybody has ever told him this. It's probably written on every piece of homework he had throughout school. And this pretty much leads to Quagmire not wanting to be friends with Peter anymore, which is going to prove to be complicated considering they both hang out at the same places.
Jerome, can you tell that piece of ass to get the hell out of here before I kick him in the face?
A regular old couple's quarrel. A swift kick to the face might have solved all their problems, but I guess Quagmire is too pencil-necked to beat up anyone that's not a dog. But this puts Joe in a difficult dilemma, who's given no alternative but to choose which of the two he's going to hang out with.
I have to choose one of you, so I choose Quagmire.
What? Second!
Hard to really argue with him there. Your mortality rate gets exponentially higher when not hanging out with Peter. So this leaves Peter alone and with no friends, but he's willing to go to incredible lengths in order to rebuild the friend group.
I need you to shoot me in the arm so we can be friends again.
Okay.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
No, you don't get it. The hypothetical offer was supposed to be enough. That way Peter looks like a good friend without doing anything, and we can all just move on. But Peter tries to back out, so Joe shoots him in the arm, which doesn't actually count. Now Peter owes Joe a receipt, and Quagmire owes Peter one. They're all gonna die of lead poisoning before they figure this one out.
I mean, if we're doing things fair here, then...
All right, we're good.
Not exactly what I'd call an eye for an eye, but close enough, I suppose. The main plot of the episode is good, but it doesn't have quite as satisfying a build-up as seeing Peter royally getting what he deserves. And that's our list. Are there any other side plots that outshine the main one? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.